You are watching an ORACLOUD Plus Training as a Service video snippet. Snippets are concise, targeted tutorials explaining how to use, configure, integrate, deploy, and support Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications. Snippets are delivered via FAST, the Fusion Application Support Tool. FAST is accessible via the web at www.oracloud.plus. No more watching hours of Learning Path style videos to get to the 5-minute snippet you need. Learn Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications in minutes, not hours. Welcome to the Purchasing Services video presentation. This video is intended for beginners looking to learn more about Oracle's Fusion Cloud applications. It explains what purchasing services are as performed globally in large public and private organizations. Please note this video is heavily related to both the procurement services and sourcing services videos. They should be watched together. This video, as are all our videos, is available on FAST. You can see in the breadcrumbs above that it's in the Procurement Cloud Training Group, more specifically in the Intro to Procurement Cloud Training Center under the Learn menu option. If you need access to FAST, go ahead and email us your name and contact information to access@oracloud.plus. All right, so key topics for this presentation: purchasing services, offline purchasing, online requesting personal, online requesting organizational, requesting similarities between those two, catalog-based purchasing flow, so a single request point of view, catalog-based purchasing flow from a multi-request or concurrent request point of view, non-catalog requests, and then lastly, non-catalog request purchasing flow. So lots of topics, let's jump right in. First, purchasing services. Purchasing is the formal process of buying goods and services, aka items. The process starts with a demand or requirements for a good or a service. A requisition is generated, which details those requirements and initiates the procurement services. So once again, that means both the sub-processes of both purchasing and sourcing. 2, offline purchasing. So you probably don't realize it, but every time you walk into a store, you follow these steps. First, walk into the store. Next, inherently you agree to the terms of that store, right? You can't walk out without things or with things. 2, read sale banners or not. Search the sections and aisles. Add the items that you find in those sections and aisles to your shopping cart. Review that cart when it is complete. Then you'll check out, which is order and pay. Well, when you're doing online requesting personal, so let's use Amazon as an example, you'll follow much the same steps. You'll access the shopping page, which is like their store, read the banners or not. You might see recent purchases, that's something a little bit different. You can search catalogs, so not so much sections and aisles, but catalogs. You shop by category, which again is like the sections and aisles. You add items to the cart or your shopping cart all the while. Here you can review your cart, which you may do informally, and then you check out, meaning purchase and pay. One note here though is Amazon is exclusively catalog driven or based, meaning you can't buy it if it's not in the catalog. Next, online requesting organizational. So once again, really a lot of the same steps. Access the shopping page, read the news banners or not, see recent purchases, search catalogs, shop by category, otherwise known as trolling, same idea, items within a taxonomy. You add items to the cart while you're doing the search by catalogs or shop by category or trolling. You review your cart when you think it's complete and you submit it for approval. Okay, so one important note here is that unlike Amazon, Oracle Fusion, or what we'll call any of the legacy or modern procurement applications, are mostly catalog driven. It means that they offer you the option to purchase something when it's not previously negotiated or in a catalog. So next, let's look just at the similarities of the way the pages look. So you can see Fusion or organizational procurement on the left and personal on the right. You can see they both have search field. They both have items, trolling, shop by cart, banners. They have a little bit of what's in catalogs, but they're laid out really very much the same. So once again, you'll notice that personal is exclusively driven. There's no ability to request items not in Amazon catalogs in this example. And then you'll notice that Fusion can be or is mostly catalog driven, right? That's one of the value propositions of procurement, is that somebody sources something, or a buyer or a category manager. They put it into this great repository of catalogs, and the requesters can purchase it at will without having to run it by sourcing again. It's a little bit of the self-service, or some of the value, if you will, productivity within Fusion Procurement Cloud. So next, topic number 6, catalog-based purchasing flow. So this is a single request. You've probably seen this in the procurement services video as well. But requesters search catalogs and add items to cart. And really, they're really purchasing using pre-negotiated content or catalogs. Well, once they're done, they submit their cart for approval. Approve is approved. Catalog orders, right, because these have already been sourced, they auto-generate into a PO post-approval, right? We don't need to run them by sourcing. They get shipped, and then requesters or dock workers will receive those items. This is referred to as self-service or catalog-based purchasing. Now, let's look at that flow as multiple requesters are doing the same thing at one point in time. So requesters will request, they search these catalogs to find different items, they add them to their cart. Now, they submit to approval. So that's where it starts to get aggregated around. In this case, it looks like one approver, but it could be a series of approvers. It could be based on commodity. It could be based on dollars. It could be based on your supervisor flow. But those carts from multiple different requesters get submitted and get approved by less than the total number of requesters, right? So there's some consolidation in labor right there. Then they get auto-generated into an order, right? Because they're catalog-based. And that order comes back to those requesters to receive what they've been shipped. Now, there are some instances larger items go to a dock or inventory items go to a dock. But let's say for the simplicity of casual requesting and online purchasing, these catalogs get received by the requesters at their desk. Once they've been received, then we can see that there is there's some different rules or peculiarities, if you will. First, multiple requesters. Second, this order consolidation that I talked about. Third, receive at desk or dock. And then fourth, this downstream invoice/payment approval. So when you receive something, the invoice comes in. The invoice is what's called matched to the sum of the receipts to make sure that the amount being invoiced does not exceed the total amount being ordered. And the unit cost on the invoice gets matched to the purchase order to make sure that we're not overcharged. So that's a little bit about how catalog-based purchasing flows, kind of request to receipt, and then a little bit about what happens downstream for invoice and payables. So what happens when the item needed is not found in a catalog? Well, in Amazon, you're out of luck. But let's talk about organizational procurement, more specifically within Fusion. Then we generate what's called a non-catalog request. So once again, you access the shopping page, you search, you shop. If you find nothing, then you create this non-catalog request form, which is essentially an ad hoc form to request what you need and even possibly request different suppliers to provide it. So you add that request to your cart. You could add other lines to that same cart before you review the cart, and you check out or do what's called submit for approval. How are non-catalog requests processed? Well, we knew that within the catalog request, we were going to add them to the cart, submit them for approval, etc. However, because this has not been sourced, the path that this particular request takes is slightly different. We start the same, that we search the catalogs for items, we don't find them. So what happens when no item is found? Well, like we just said, we create a non-catalog request. That non-catalog request is used to engage others to provide what are called sourcing services, which we'll detail at length in the sourcing services video. But again, just for the complete picture, we then have a series of different tasks where not all of them have to be performed, but if you're selecting a new supplier, well, then that supplier needs to be added. You might have some non-financial contracts like a non-disclosure. You might even have some other pre-purchase contracts like a master hosting, master services, master end user license. Then, when the supplier or bidder has been appropriately enabled, category managers will seek to negotiate, again, depending on business rules, right? Is it this dollar threshold? Is it this type of purchase? But that request gets negotiated. Then post-negotiation, we probably want to contract to make sure that we're compliant or our supplier is compliant in our agreements. And then if it's a good, a lot of times we'll enable it as an item in a catalog. Hence, it can be ordered self-service. Now, for one-off goods, configured goods, or sometimes even services, or mostly services, we'll probably go straight from our contract to our purchase order. So, are you ready for the next video? Well, do you understand purchasing services? Do you understand personal and organizational purchasing similarities, kind of the similarities between the two? And then lastly, do you understand catalog versus non-catalog requesting in FPC or Fusion Procurement Cloud? And that's also called sometimes full service or self-service. If the answer is no, then either watch again or feel free to reach out to me directly. You can see here on the left, that's my email address, and I'm always available to answer questions. If the answer is yes, great, then maybe you want to watch more video. So you can go to our playlist out on YouTube by going to YouTube and searching on ORACLOUD Plus Inc. Or you can go from our website to the tool we call FAST, the Fusion Application Support Tool, and you can access the full catalog of our Learn, Use, Configure, Integrate, Deploy, and Support videos online. So that's it for this tutorial. We hope you found it informative, and keep watching.